Alright, so we are still in the training aircraft section. You can see some Navy aircraft there behind us. T-1 Tucano in, is that French?
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's a French or English. That's right, there's the flag right there. Yeah, I guess the English do it in a, the English put the blue star, the blue circle in the middle. No? That's also French. Oh gosh, I'm so confused. Okay. Maybe that's Dutch?
Yeah, that's a different flag. That's the Dutch flag.
That's the Dutch flag.
I think, yeah.
Okay. I don't do flags. Alright. Anyway. Oh, now that is just inappropriate. And I'm sorry folks, don't at me. It's the MiG-15 faggot.
Probably Fagot, right?
Fagot? Would it be Fagot?
I feel better.
I feel like, well,
because better saying Fagot.
We'll say Fagot. This is a Polish aircraft. I mean, Russian built, painted as a Polish aircraft. You can see the Polish insignia there. But NATO, because we had difficulty pronouncing what the Russians actually called it, and often didn't know what the Russians called it. So they would have code names for Russian aircraft.
Oh.
And if it was a fighter, it started with an F.
Okay.
So you have Fulcrum or Flanker,
Okay.
Fagot. Bombers would be starting with a B,
Sure.
like Badger or Backfire. So, you know, it's like a type like a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Is also we'll say Fagot, even though that's not actually how the word is pronounced.
No, the English actually call it it's like bundles of wood. Yeah.
Yeah, bundles of wood. Right.
In British American.
In a British English. English.
Yes, I was going to say English.
So yeah, so we got a whole nice collection of communist bloc aircraft, we'll say. This right here is a Chinese-built aircraft.
Oh.
So it's a MiG-19, but it was built by the Chinese and designated as a J6 Farmer. I don't think that's the Chinese flag, though.
It's not the Chinese flag.
I think the Chinese did that. Is that like Iraq or Iran? We literally don't know. It's
fail flag.
Fail flags. Yeah. Here is an actually Russian painted one, MiG-17. If you recall, this was actually the primary adversary of the U.S. Air Force in Vietnam. Is the MiG-17 was the most common. I believe they had some MiG-21s, which is a more advanced aircraft the North Vietnamese did, but primarily they flew the MiG-17. Yep, there is the MiG-21 right there. There's a really nicely painted MiG-17, the Fresco. Sometimes they just, they just found a word that started with an F and ran with it.
Why not?
Oh, I believe, I'm trying to remember. I think there was a coding system based on how many syllables in the word designated the number of engines on the aircraft, but I could be wrong.
That's too confusing.
Yeah. But these are all single engine aircraft with 2-syllable words, so I may be misremembering. The X-15 up here, this is the experimental aircraft which flew in the 60s, designed in the 50s and flew in the 60s. It set altitude and speed records. It said it flew so high that the pilots earned astronaut wings. And is holder of the absolute speed record by flying over 6 times the speed of sound.
Until Maverick did.
Right. Maverick did break the speed record.
Maverick broke Mach 10.
He did break Mach 10.
Yeah.
So, sorry, X-15. So we're in the aerospace hangar. So there's going to be a lot of experimental and space aircraft, and a big UH-60 parked right in the middle. Yes, of course. I told you we get a UH-60 in here, but it's only half of one. Nope, it's a full one. Okay. So there you go. This is the Army version. Remember I told you about the tail wheel?
Yeah, there it is.
So you can see the tail wheel all the way back there.
I like that it's split up inside so you can actually see like what it was supposed to
It
look
is,
like
yeah. I have flown in these a number of times.
The seats do not look comfortable or sturdy.
Yeah, the passenger seats are not especially sturdy or comfortable. Although the pilot seats are actually designed to help the pilot survive in a crash.
Oh, okay.
They're actually designed to be able to basically kind of collapse to mitigate the impact of crashing. Okay, here we have ejection seats.
You mean the thing that killed Goose?
The thing that killed Goose. Technically, the thing that killed Goose was the cockpit, the canopy.
Okay, true.
Technically.
And
That was actually a known flaw with the F-14, so that was actually accurate.
that's kind of cool. I mean, not that it was a known flaw, but
Well, you know,
It
it
was
was
accurate.
it was yeah, that it was accurate. That I mean, it was fixed in the later models, but yeah.
so I thought this was cool. The Hustler that we saw.
Yeah.
This is the escape capsule for it because they could go to Mach 2, so they had like this escape capsule to try to protect the pilots if they had to eject.
That's pretty
Which I
cool.
think is actually pretty cool. It looks very space
And then
age.
you would cut away the capsule once you got low enough.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so Martin Baker's British, and they are basically the world producer of ejection seats for Western nations.
I actually heard that.
Yeah, they have saved the sign here. I think it's higher now, but it's saved over 7,700 aircrew lives, which is larger than the population of the town that the manufacturer is located in.
Good for them.
Yeah. So addendum, I was wondering why they had a Blackhawk in the middle of the hangar dedicated to the space program and unmanned aircraft. And the reason is that this was a test bed for an unmanned helicopter. So this was in 2013. This was used as a test aircraft for unmanned flight of a helicopter. Pretty wild. We're going to show some of the Harriers here. These versions right here, these are the AV-8 Harrier, also called a Harrier 2. So these are used by the Marine Corps. I think they are no longer flying these. It says current, but I believe that they are all out of service now. So this is a single seat, one right here, and then we have a two-seater right here. So it's called Harrier 2 because we'll see some of the earlier model Harriers coming up, and you can see some of the differences. So notably, you can notice the cockpit. Notice how the British version right here, the cockpit is kind of sunk down into the middle, or sunk down into the aircraft.
Yeah.
And you can see here with the Marine Corps Harrier 2, the cockpit is more of a bulging bubble cockpit, so this gives the pilot better visibility behind him. So the Harrier, as you may remember, is the primary British fighter and attack aircraft during the Falklands War. So there's a tactical ballistic missile called the Redstone. Now, I doubt this museum will have it. But just a fun aside is the Army in the 50s fielded a tactical nuclear, I don't want to say missile, rocket. Maybe it may have been a cannon system, but it was called the Davy Crockett.
It's cute.
Yeah, but it only had a range of like a couple miles, like 5 miles or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it was a very small yield nuclear warhead.
Okay.
But yeah, but the crazy thing is that, you know, obviously it was designed to handle the Russian horde that we thought was going to be coming across the east-west German border in the 50s, and but it had such short range. So it's like the crew of the system would spot the oncoming Russian horde, and then they would call their chain of command and be like, hey, you know, the horde's coming, they're about 5 miles away, do we have permission to shoot? And launch permission had to go all the way up to the president. So, I mean, this is, you know, my math may be wrong, but approximately like 8 levels of command to get authority to launch a nuclear weapon, and then come all the way back down. And by the time everybody in the chain of command authorized the use of a nuclear warhead, they would be overrun. So, kind of flawed and kind of a weird aside. But here we have some Navy aircraft. So obviously the F-18 painted up in the Blue Angels paint scheme, which is a really good looking paint scheme, let's be honest. Yes. Much as I want to bash on the Navy, this is a good looking aircraft. Lieutenant Commander Dave Tickle. I'm sure there's a reason they didn't put his call sign on there. His last name of Tickle, you can't imagine what his call sign would have been. Because they are never cool like they are on the TV shows. All right. The A-7E Corsair II. This is a attack aircraft used pretty extensively during Vietnam. Along here with this A-6 Buddy. This is a heavier attack aircraft. You see, this is probably a Vietnam veteran based on the mission painted symbols on there.
Oh yeah. What is this snorkel-like thing coming out?
That is an aerial refueling probe. So interestingly enough, the Air Force and the Army, the Air Force and the Navy developed different systems for refueling in air because they had different requirements and different systems. The Navy would often use what they call buddy tanking, where you'd imagine one of these aircraft would be carrying large fuel tanks to be able to refuel other aircraft. So the Navy developed this probe system right here, whereas the Air Force, and I don't know if we'll get a good view of one, but the Air Force basically had a compartment that would open on the back of an aircraft, and then you would put a refueling probe into it. Basically because the Air Force tankers would have an actual crewman on the back that could maneuver the probe into the aircraft. Whereas the Navy, like I said, with the buddy system, would not have that. So the plane basically flew, and then you would stick this probe into a basket to refuel. So here we have, this is a dual cockpit. So this is a 4-man crew. This was used as an electronic warfare aircraft. So you can see the difference between the tails.
Oh yeah.
Where they would have the different, they have equipment on there. And obviously the dual cockpit. And these cockpits I'm told, were lined with gold to help protect the instruments.
Oh.
So this is a RA-5C Vigilante. This, I believe, is the largest aircraft to be regularly operated off a Navy ship.
Really?
Yep. There are some one times or some, like they tested landed a C-130 on an aircraft carrier. You have the B-25s from the World War II era of Doolittle's raid. But this was the largest one that was assigned to operate off aircraft carriers. Again, we get into the obscure aircraft, the F-6A Skyray. That's a terrible name. Only operated for 8 years. From 56 to 64. Yeah, the really short service life of some of these aircraft. 48 to 61, Banshee photo reconnaissance.